Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Marketing Matchmaker. I am super excited about today's episode. We have Molly Zemek with us today. She is a professionally trained chef and author of the new book, Decoding Your Emotional Appetite, a food lover's guide to weight loss. She also hosts the internationally ranked podcast Weight Loss for Food Lovers, where she empowers foodies to feel and look their best without sacrificing the food you love. I love your thought process around this. Well, I wouldn't call myself a foodie. I do like food. So
hmm
it's always good to have a different perspective. So tell me, let's start with your book. Tell me about your book. Like what is it and why did you write it?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jennifer, first for just having me on the podcast. I'm really excited to be here and sharing this conversation. I decided to write this book because I spent decades really struggling with um, my passion for food and my desire to feel good and really figuring out how to balance the two of those things. And I had what I describe as a love language of food, where food was just my main source of pleasure, something that I just prioritized as a hobby, as a professional career when I became a chef, a way to entertain myself. That, along with my enjoyment of wine, was something that really consumed a big focus and a lot of energy in my life for several decades. And then I reached this point in my 40s where I just really, I think, was suffering as the result of habits of mindless eating and drinking. And I had tried approaches in the past, like dieting and detoxes and, quick fixes as a way to just kind of offset the impact that it had on my body. And those approaches would kind of work temporarily, but never really address kind of the underlying reasons why I was turning to food for comfort all of the time, and why I was always anticipating a glass of wine at the end of the day. And that was kind of the highlight of my day. And so I discovered life coaching in my 40s, and I started to really explore some of the underlying reasons why these habits existed in the first place, which is something I had never done before. I had always just thought, well, I just love food so much, or I just love wine. I mean, I was became certified as a sommelier because I just loved wine and enjoyed drinking, but I never really thought about what was motivating me, and why these things took up so much focus and so much energy. And once I started just kind of excavating the layers and understanding the emotions below the surface, and kind of how I was feeling in my life, um, I never really felt like I was able to release my desire to eat and drink the way I was. So I started to just kind of come to terms with some of my deeper needs, some of the things that I was ignoring in my life, and started to, find other ways to take care of myself. And it was a process. It was a process of changing my relationship with food, cutting back on drinking, really, healing myself and taking care of myself in new ways. But it didn't involve dieting, and it didn't involve, going on a detox or anything that I had tried before. It involved really understanding some of the reasons why I was turning to these things and figuring out how I could start to be more intentional about eating and drinking. And when I went through this process, I just felt a complete sense of freedom around food for the first time. I felt really in control. Not only did, I lose 45 pounds, I cut back on drinking, but I just experienced this really deep sense of peace, and a sense of confidence that I never had before. And I thought, this is something that more people like me need to hear about. Because most people like me think, well, I just need to go on another diet, or I just need to like cut out food I love.
Yeah.
But those approaches don't really work long term. So we feel stuck. We feel like, well, what's the point? Maybe I'll just never be able to figure this out. And I wrote the book because I wanted to share my story of figuring it out in a way that was sustainable, but also to give other people hope. Because one of the most amazing results that came out of this was not just feeling and looking better, but it was also that I actually enjoy food even more. That
Yeah.
I developed this approach to conscious eating that allowed me to really just engage my senses in a way in the eating process where I could just still enjoy indulgent things. But because I was satisfied with less, I could incorporate them into my day-to-day eating without having the same negative consequences that I felt before.
Yeah, I love that. I love that perspective. What is decoding your emotional appetite? What does that mean?
Yeah, good question. So, one of the things that I needed to come to terms with as I was sorting through my habit of mindless eating and drinking was, taking some of the attention off of food and putting it back on my body. So I went through the steps to begin really listening to what my body was telling me. So for instance, when your body is giving you signs of true physical hunger, which feels like growling or gnawing or a sense of emptiness, like that true sense of physical hunger, that's a sign that your body needs food, that your body's asking for nourishment. But if you're thinking about eating or you're fantasizing about food the way that I used to, and you're not getting any physical signs of hunger, then that's a sign of your emotional appetite. And so your emotional appetite is essentially any reason why you're interested in eating beyond physical hunger. And many of us don't think of ourselves as emotional eaters. I certainly didn't. But if you're motivated to eat and you're not physically hungry, it is driven by an emotion, even if that emotion is just simply desire for something tasty.
Yeah.
And so, figuring out the difference between your emotional appetite and your physical appetite, which is what I talk about in this book, is really key in understanding okay, if I'm not hungry, food is not the answer here. So, what am I actually hungry for? Maybe I'm tired and I need to rest. Maybe I'm feeling lonely and I need to connect with somebody. Maybe I'm bored and I need to actually like stimulate myself. But food is not the answer to any of those needs. But when we're able to separate out our emotional appetite from our physical appetite, we get this different, perspective as to like what are some of the deeper needs here that I actually need to address in new ways.
Awesome. So when someone is struggling with that whole emotional eating piece, what's like the first or second step? Like what is it that they get to look at, or how do they realize that that's actually what's going on in their world? Like
Uh-huh.
your thoughts that trigger it, or is it, is there something that they can do to help them understand what's causing their hunger or their eating patterns?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because when we're in a habit of mindless eating, we're usually not paying attention to
Right.
anything other than the food. And we don't necessarily notice how our body feels. So you might I mean, I went through for years of just like not feeling that great. And but that was just kind of the norm for me. But I was just so focused on the food. That's what I would just like kind of consumed me. So what I really encourage people to do is to pay attention to what your body's telling you. Because if you're getting negative feedback from your body, it's really your responsibility to pay attention to that, right? To just know, oh, the way that I'm treating myself isn't really helping me feel my best. That's
Right.
kind of the first point of awareness. It was the first point of awareness for me. I began waking up in the middle of the night with, indigestion. I had anxiety from, drinking wine at night. I would feel really bloated and uncomfortable, and sometimes if I ate too much, that would interfere with sleeping. And so what I like to, say to people is that your body will always tell you the truth about your experience.
Hmm.
You can become very unconscious when you get into the habit of mindless eating or if you get into the habit of mindless drinking. but it's going to catch up with you at some point if it's having a negative effect on your body. If it's not, like, if you're not experiencing any negative side effects, there's not a problem, right? Just keep
Right.
doing what you're doing. This is for people who are just noticing signs of, wow, like my digestion is off, or I'm struggling to sleep, or my energy is really low, or my mood is being affected in a negative way. I'm just like not feeling that motivated. Those were all symptoms that I had. So start to just pay attention and just be curious about whether or not any of your habits around eating or drinking could be contributing to that. Just start asking some questions. You don't even have to do anything about it if you don't want to. I didn't do anything about it for a while, even though I knew drinking wine every night was affecting my sleep. I just wasn't ready to make a change. But I
Right.
was willing to listen to my body, and I was willing to just kind of lean into the possibility that something might change. I might be able to make a change. So that's the first point. And then if you are ready to make a change because you decide that what you really desire more than anything is to feel better, that you just are kind of sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, then you can begin just asking yourself, am I physically hungry before you eat? Like that could be the first simple thing you do. And I say simple, it's not simple for a lot of people because many of us are not in the habit of doing this. We're just in the habit of eating, but you can start waiting to eat until you get physical signs of hunger. And then start listening to your body when you eat foods and just notice, like, how does this food make me feel? Or, what if I started paying attention to my satiety level? And instead of just eating to finish the plate or to like clear the plate, I started listening for when my body tells me, oh, you've had enough. And I still feel light and I still feel energized, but I don't feel physically full to a place where I'm uncomfortable. So
Okay.
those are some kind of steps that you can take in the direction of taking the focus off of food and redirecting it onto your body. Because one of the things that I found very inspiring that I think can be motivating to people is that your body actually has all of the wisdom you need to feel your best. Your body wants to feel good and it will tell you what it needs to feel its best, like how certain foods make you feel, how
Right.
much food you actually need to feel energized. But you have to start to really pay attention and direct your focus onto what your body is telling you.
Awesome. Okay, so we talked about your book, and I love the message behind decoding your emotional appetite. So tell me about the business side of your business. What is
Mhm.
it that you do specifically with your clients and for your clients?
So I do one-to-one private life coaching where I
Nice.
take people through a 12-week program, and it is a 45-minute coaching session with me where together we make a customized plan. So I work with some people just on food, on ending the habit of mindless eating, on weight loss, if that's something that people are trying to accomplish. But I also have clients that I work with only on drinking. So I have some clients that just want to cut back on drinking or give up drinking. And it's again a 12-week, 45-minute session program where we create a customized plan. And then week by week, I evaluate how well is this plan working for you? Are you getting the results that you want? We troubleshoot if we need to. We adjust the plan, but then a lot of the coaching call is about figuring out what's happening in real time. So if you're
Right.
struggling to commit, which is where most of us struggle, what is preventing you from committing to yourself? If you're planning for a special event, how can we strategize for that? How can we, if you've had a setback where you go off of your plan, how can I help coach you through that so that you don't give up on yourself, so that it turns into a learning experience? And then along with the 12-week private coaching program, I also have a digital course that I created. So all of my clients are going through the digital course on their own so that they're learning my entire curriculum for weight loss.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Fantastic. So how have you been connecting with your clients? I mean, obviously, this podcast is all about marketing, Marketing Matchmaker, and so I'd love to hear like what is it that you've done really well in your marketing? What have you been struggling with? How have you been bringing in your clients?
Yeah, I think that one of the best things that I've done is show up consistently on social media and talk about my story.
Right.
I think that one of my advantages is that I've been through the exact same process that I teach my clients. So I can show up and I can talk about the struggle in a way that resonates with people. I can talk about the way that I was able to navigate through it and get out of it on the other side. I can be an example. But I also bring my clients on. I have my own podcast that's called Weight Loss for Food Lovers that I've had for the last 5 years. And that was a big part of my marketing from the beginning, was to just show up consistently every single week. I've never missed a week. And I really talk about my story. I talk about concepts that I teach inside of my business. I bring clients on, and then I share clips of my interviews with clients on social media. I would say that has been a really important part of bringing in new clients. And then I've created free courses. So I have a free course on my website, and I often will direct people to my free course. When I first started out my business, I relied a lot on Facebook ads.
Yeah.
So I ran ads in the very beginning, and I led people to sign up to a discovery call.
Hmm.
And so I would do a lot of 30-minute free calls where I would help people, I would give advice, but I would also sell my program. And that was a good learning experience because I was not good at it in the beginning. But over time, became much better at figuring out the art of that type
A
of a
sales
call.
call. Yeah.
Yeah, that type of a call. And that eventually, became another successful tactic for me.
Nice.
I created a free offer. That was another thing that I did where I led people to a not just my 3-day course, but I had another training video that I led people to where I offered people some tools that would help them kind of take the first steps. So I'm trying to think of what else. I've done group programs as well. I've gone through periods of doing small group programs where I have I make a bigger marketing push where I will not only do advertising, but
Yeah.
I've created a series of strategic emails and deadline sequences. And whenever I do a small group program, because I need a set number of people to
Mhm.
sign up all at once, it requires a much bigger effort to get
Right.
everybody on board
Absolutely.
at the same time. um, but I've enjoyed that, and those have been not only rewarding for me, but really rewarding for the people who are involved. So I would say
Fantastic.
that's part of it. I over time, I've just had a lot of referrals. So in the beginning, it was just like using the ads
Right.
and doing the email marketing and all of those things and really trying to build up my audience. But I'd say the longer that I'm in business, I have more and more referrals, which makes it easier because I don't love the marketing side of it. I don't know. I don't think I'm alone in that.
Probably
Um,
not. Probably not. I think people make marketing way too complicated. I mean, in reality, it does not have to be complicated. You are still marketing no matter what you're doing, just by showing up and being you on your social
mhm,
media. You're still
mhm,
marketing. It may not be the specific tactics that somebody
right.
might suggest. But yeah, I definitely, and marketing should always be personalized to what fits you. So if group coaching doesn't fit you because it's uncomfortable to do launches, which is basically what you're describing,
Right.
that big marketing push, then doing one on one coaching is perfectly great for you.
It's a trade-off because when you do the one-on-one coaching, I mean, uh, the price point is higher to do private
Right.
coaching. There's less of a marketing effort that goes into it, but there's more time involved on my end. I mean, I have to spend
Absolutely.
more time meeting with people versus the group environment, requires less of my time in the week to week coaching, but then I end up putting more time into the advertising. So it probably comes out in a
It's
wash
all
at the
depends.
end.
It all just depends on what your focus is, right? Like a small amount of time if you're doing a launch and you know your group coaching program opens March 1st and you've spent 2 months getting ready for that, you launch the group coaching program. If it's a 6-month program or a 90-day program, whatever it is, you have that time to focus on other things. So yeah, it's all just a matter of it also is a matter of having it all in place. Like if you do launches well and do them repeatedly, you can just turn them on and off.
Exactly. And I was at that point where I had kind of when I was doing my group programs, I had a system, I had the emails done. It's all about scheduling and really
Exactly.
having your ducks in a row. Because then it's just a matter of just showing up and putting things into motion. So I think you're absolutely right about that. I mean, now what I'm doing is I'm marketing for this new book that I wrote. And while it's not, completely different, it is there is sort of a different strategy with the book
Yeah.
stuff. So, yeah, that's again something writing the book was hard, but it's something that was, the fulfillment of really a lifelong dream and a valuable asset for my business.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of in this place again where I have to let more and more people know about it, which is like, oh, I gotta like go through the marketing again. But if you think about it just as you really, being a spokesperson for something that you believe in and wanting to help as many people as possible, it feels easier. And I certainly feel more motivated to do it when I'm thinking about it that way.
That's fantastic. That is how I encourage everyone to think about their marketing. You're providing them a service. You're showing up as you, and as long as you show up as authentically you, it doesn't feel like work, or it shouldn't feel like work. There's
Mhm.
work involved. There is. We're not gonna lie. This isn't like something that you don't have to work at. There's work involved, and
Right.
it doesn't feel like you're having to force it. It's just learning the techniques and the tactics and the strategies that will actually get you where you need to go.
Yes.
So, for those in our audience that are looking for some help with their eating habits or how they're emotionally eating, um, how do they contact you? Where's a great place for them to connect with you?
The best place would be on my website, mollyzemek.com. Another great resource is my website, my podcast, Weight Loss for Food Lovers.
Awesome.
So that those would be two places for people to find me.
Perfect. I will have all of that information in the show notes. I love your book, and can they find that anywhere, or is it
The book will be released on April 2nd. So right now it's available for pre-order. But if they would like to find out more about my book, then they can do so on my website. There's a link
awesome?
to learn more about it.
Awesome. So, for those of you out there that are struggling with your weight, that you're looking for something different to maybe becoming aware that you need something different, head over to Molly's website. All of the links are in the show notes. Until next time, I will talk to you later. Thank you for listening to the Marketing Matchmaker podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear your feedback. Please head over to Apple, iTunes, and leave a review so we can hear from you. And if you are a coach, consultant, or online course creator who are looking to grow your business, increase your income, and scale your impact, connect with me at yourmarketingmatchmaker.com. I look forward to hearing from you.